all love a bad guy. But even better than that is a bad guy who's trying to do good. These are 15 movie characters who didn't let their introductions as villains define them. It's hard growing up in the shadow of your more successful brother. Just ask Loki, who went to some pretty extreme lengths to prove himself, like, say, destroying New York City. But he has a bit of a come-to-light moment after losing his mother, and starts working with Thor in Thor Ragnarok.
Still hate it? It's humiliating.
No, not for me, it's not.
Loki even sacrifices himself to stop Thanos, making him the first on this list who was able to redeem himself while giving up his life. Darth Vader spent a good portion of his life serving the dark side of the Force. But in his final moments, he redeemed himself as a proper Jedi. He turned against Emperor Palpatine in order to save his son, effectively ending the Empire when he did.
Got to save you.
You already have.
His grandson, Kylo Ren, sort of follows in Anakin's footsteps, shifting back and forth between the dark side and the light.
Show me, grandfather.
And speaking of characters who are morally conflicted, it's hard to tell where Snape's loyalties lie. Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince seems to suggest that he was more than just your average bully when he actually kills Dumbledore
Avada Kedavra.
and appears to join the Death Eaters. But when Snape allows Harry into his memories, we find out that he's actually been working as a double agent all along, motivated by his love for Harry's mother.
After all this time. Always.
And while we're on the topic, we're hoping that you might be motivated by your love for our channel to hit that subscribe button, and maybe give us a like while you're down there. Meanwhile, our next entry proves that love isn't always the healthy motivator it may seem to be. Harley Quinn's problem is a classic one. She dated the wrong clown.
Would you live for me?
Yes.
But after she and the Joker break up, we could see that she's a lot more capable of doing good without him, saving Cassandra Cain's life and teaming up with the Birds of Prey to take down Black Mask.
Are we ready? Bad guys, just outside.
Harley still struggles to do the right thing, but she's a lot more interested in doing good than harm, which makes her somewhat similar to a certain shape-shifting mutant. Mystique never meant to be a villain. She's trying to protect the interest of mutant kind, although that often comes at the expense of humans and puts her at odds with the X-Men. But over time, we see her turn away from Magneto's extremist views and more towards Professor Xavier's hope for a better future. At the end of X-Men Apocalypse, Mystique even joins the X-Men, becoming the leader of an entirely new team.
You're not kids anymore. You're not students. You're X-Men.
You might even call her captain of her own ship, sort of like our next villain turned hero. Let's be real here. Pirates are rarely the good guys. When we first meet Barbossa, he plays the role of the villain perfectly by kidnapping Elizabeth and marooning Jack. But after being resurrected, he comes to serve as something of a weird uncle to our heroes. When his daughter is introduced in the 5th film, we see a softer side to him than ever before.
Who am I to you?
Treasure.
It's clear to see that the love of a child can go a long way to redeeming a villain. Disney's animated Sleeping Beauty had Maleficent curse Aurora because she wasn't invited to a party.
I really felt quite distressed at not receiving an invitation.
The live-action movie dives a little deeper, having her curse Aurora to get revenge against her cruel father. But as Maleficent watches Aurora grow, she eventually comes to love her, and she's even able to wake Aurora with true love's kiss.
Hello, Godmother.
When we first meet Deckard Shaw, he was driven by a need for revenge against Dominic Toretto and his career over the defeat of his brother.
Listen now, little brother. Wanna sell you one last go?
But between his sharp wit and prior M16 training, Deckard was just too good to give up. He later teamed up with our heroes to take down Cypher, and as of Hobbs and Shaw, he officially became a hero. But Deckard isn't the only one to have done some crazy things for his family. Nebula had it pretty rough growing up, being the adopted daughter of an intergalactic warlord. Under his orders, she hunted down the Guardians of the Galaxy, but changed her tune upon making amends with Gamora.
You will always be my sister.
She teams up with the Avengers to help them take down Thanos, and afterwards becomes a member of the Guardians of the Galaxy. She's still a little rough around the edges, but she's trying to move beyond her past. The T-800 is a literal killing machine. He served as the terrifying villain to the first Terminator movie, having been sent back in time to hunt down Sarah Connor. But when Arnold Schwarzenegger made a name for himself playing heroes, James Cameron decided to play on this image when it came time for him to write the sequel, revealing that T-800 had been reprogrammed not to kill.
My mission is to protect you.
Being Captain America's best friend comes with consequences. After Bucky was taken by Hydra, he was brainwashed into becoming a terrifying human weapon known as the Winter Soldier. Still, Steve refused to give up on him.
You're my friend.
And upon remembering his life before Hydra, Steve Rogers' best friend was back. Now haunted by his prior actions, Bucky tries to do good alongside the Avengers. Compared to brainwashed Hydra agents and cursed happy fairies, being a showboating boxer doesn't exactly make Apollo the most terrifying villain here. But he serves as the antagonist of the first Rocky movie, and actively bullies our hero in the sequel. It isn't until Rocky loses his trainer that Apollo steps in to help him out.
Maybe we could win it back together.
And the two actually form a pretty close bond over time. Rocky even went on to train Apollo's son Adonis in later Creed movies. What could be more despicable than taking advantage of orphans? Gru only adopted his girls to complete his supervillainous goal of stealing the moon. But over time, he comes to form a genuine bond with them. Over the course of sequels, we can see how Gru works to reform his evil ways in order to become a legitimate father. Megamind became a supervillain mostly through circumstance. He and Metro Man were both aliens sent to Earth as babies. But while Metro Man was raised by a loving family, Megamind was raised in a prison. This set up a rivalry between the two of them that came to its conclusion when Megamind actually seemed to defeat Metro Man, which left Megamind bored, with nobody left to challenge him. But when Megamind's attempts to train up the next superhero fails, he's forced to step into the role of the unlikely hero. As the literal clone of a guy named Dr. Evil, you wouldn't expect Mini-Me to turn out to be the unsung hero of the third movie. Although he originally worked with Dr. Evil,
I shall call him Mini-Me.
His jealousy towards Scott and Goldmember encouraged him to leave behind his villainous ways. He teams up with Austin Powers and even becomes something of a clone to him instead, dressing up like him through a good portion of the movie. Which of these reformed villains would you have to say was your favorite? And are there any that you can think of that we might have missed? Be sure to let us know in the comment section down below.